Good morning, Cherries fans, and welcome to this latest edition of Cherry Picking. Of course, I've got my main man next to me. Got Mr. Matthew Harrison. How you doing, Matt?
All good, Craig. All excited for this week's cherry picking.
Excellent. And I've also got Manny as well with me. How you doing, Manny?
All good, thank you, mate. I know that I'm going to be a little bit agitated in about an hour and a half from now, so let me just relax first, conserve my energy, and enjoy some cherry picking.
Exactly, mate. Because, of course, we have got a big week this week. And of course, later on today, this video will be going up on Thursday morning. So you'll be watching it then. It's recorded the day before, of course, no secret there. But of course, later on, we have a trip to St Mary's or St Fary's or whatever you want to call it, to be fair. So, of course, we are going. Looking forward to the trip, Matt?
It's not the longest of trips, is it? So,
No, it's not really, is it?
yeah, it's going to be good. Well, let's hope it's going to be good. Yeah, no, nice stadium, to be fair. It's always
Yep.
nice to go there. It's always better to come away with a win.
Yes. Yep. Definitely. And of course, Manny, last time out, Southampton. Of course, you're an Arsenal fan at heart, but do you feel that Arsenal gave Southampton just that head start, and that's what really that's how they got the point?
We were cocky. We thought that because we were playing the bottom team in the Premiership that we could just turn up and turn on the style. Didn't work that way. You got to be switched on from kickoff, and we just weren't. And since then, as I've kept saying, we didn't seem to have the urgency to try to get back in the game until it was pretty much too little too late. And this might not sound nice of me to say for other people, and frankly, it's none of my concern. It would have been a travesty of justice if we had somehow snatched the win the way we did against, the Cherries, because you can't just switch off completely, play absolutely horrendously, and then turn on the style in the last few minutes and expect to win. That's not the stuff of champions, regardless of what people say. But Southampton, coming to them, they impressed me with their sense of urgency, the fact that they were willing to play a pressing game of their own to try to counter us. I think they came to the Emirates Stadium knowing that they had nothing to lose, and they certainly showed that even with the 4-4-2 formation they played, they were more than capable of matching our own high press with a press of their own. They hit us brilliantly on the counter, capitalized on several of our passing mistakes, and we would have deserved to lose, by the way, but I guess it's just the fickle nature of the game, when sometimes if you're down at that area of the table, I don't know, maybe it's sort of the fear of winning, I think. You just don't know what to do. You don't know whether to completely keep your foot on the pedal, or whether to just completely, relax it. And I think the turning point was when Romeo Lavia was substituted for Coletta Sarr, because although Coletta Sarr did get the third goal, that control and energy in the midfield was lacking. And even when Bednarek was brought off, I thought that sort of enforcing nature, that forcing character in the Southampton defence was lacking in a way. But it was good to see Theo Walcott score and remind people of just, although he might have lost a bit of pace, a bit of ball control, he still has an eye for goal, still has some good footballing instincts. And I hope he doesn't retire, because 34 is no age to retire. And if you're playing this well, if a club is interested in you, go for it.
Yep, most definitely. Most definitely. Well, of course, we have got. It's a massive week, absolutely massive week this week. We've got Southampton and then Leeds, and the BBC have done a really good piece, and it was mentioned actually in my show where we spoke about, and you saw the footage of Talk TV, and commenting about the West Ham game. We'll park that. But of course, data specialist Nielsen Graysnow actually studied all the stats, looked into it, judged the team's chances, compared teams that were playing each other, and they looked at our chances of relegation, and it's 6%. We've got 1.5 points per match, which, if you take out of the equation now, Wolves and West Ham and Crystal Palace is the best. It's the best points per match in the last 10 games. I think Gary O'Neill probably deserves a lot of, he deserves a lot of plaudits for that, really. What
He
do you think,
does.
Ross? Yeah.
He does. He does. I mean, I never got to see the video that you put out, and
Mhm.
I suppose if there's one criticism that of Gary O'Neill, and I think both of you will agree with me on this, it's a case of a few steps forward and then one step back, and every time it's a step back, it happens to be a big step backwards against a team which simply outplayed Bournemouth on the day, or a game where you're expected to win. And the impression that a lot of these fans get is that Gary just doesn't seem to be willing to, keep learning. But in a season like this, which a lot of people would say has been a rather jammy season with some of the most bizarre results, teams in the lower half of the table and in that relegation battle are going to get some pretty poor setback type results any time, and it's how you recover from them that really determines everything. So, of course, with the next match being against the Saints and then Leeds afterwards, Leeds are completely low in confidence, and Patrick Bamford's miss last night pretty much summed up the lack of confidence in that Leeds team, I would say. And then, of course, with the Saints, you could say that the draw is a double-edged sword, because they still believe that now they've got a sharper attacking force that could, prise open the Bournemouth defense. But at the same time, the fact that they weren't quite able to, bring it home would leave them wondering, can we do this? And it's that level of uncertainty that I think Gary O'Neill needs to capitalize on.
Also, one thing that the BBC have updated as well after last night's games. So, not Wednesday night's games, the Tuesday night games. So, of course, Leeds and Leicester drawing in that their match. We are on 33 points. We've got now, according to this, 39% chance of safety. Now, of course, things might change based on the Nottingham Forest versus Brighton game, and of course the Everton and Newcastle game at the same time. But what could happen if we get 3 more points? It goes from 39% to 36 points, is a 98% chance of safety from Nielsen Grace note. So effectively, what they are assessing is that it's going to be somewhere around that line, is probably going to be somewhere around where we are at this moment in time. Makes it even more important, but 37 or more is 100% chance of safety. Personally, I think 4 points will do this, won't it?
Yeah, as long as results keep going the way they have been. Yeah. But I still think, on our day we're better than 4 points. So I reckon we can still get a few more points than that towards the end
Of
of the season.
course.
So yeah, but the bigger that gap gets from the bottom three, the less pressure there is obviously on us. But tonight's going to be a hard game. It's not
Yes.
going to be an easy game. It's not going to be a case of turn up and they're just going to roll over. It's going to be. I reckon it's going to be an edgy game. I reckon the crowd is going to be tense.
Yeah.
On both sides. It's going to be some atmosphere to play in tonight even. He said,
Yeah. Of course, we are recording this on Wednesday evening, so of course that's why.
of course, it is going to be, St Mary's is going to be quite tense and edgy tomorrow night for both fans.
And I think Southampton are well and truly, and like Dan said on our preview, they're drinking the last chance saloon, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, I agree with them, but they've got to. If you're looking at it from Southampton's perspective, they've got to take the positives out of the Arsenal game. Hopefully they don't, but that's how they should be looking at it. And it's not over until the fat lady sings, as they say. So while they've still got breath, they're going to take it, aren't they? We're all hoping for a game like last time when we were at St Mary's. When we were on, it was a Friday night.
It was.
And that was electric that night. Electric, and that's what we're hoping for. So,
Callum Wilson running up to the cameras, screaming in front of them. You know, that's what we need. That's what we need tomorrow.
Yeah, we need that
tonight.
That's what we need Dom doing.
Yes.
But yeah, I was quite impressed with Saints. I must admit, there was a few of us that went down our local. We all whacked our Bournemouth shirts on, knowing there'd be a fair few Saints fans in there thinking Arsenal were going to do us a favour. We all sat there, and obviously they scored early, and by sort of like the 20th minute, we all sort of sunk in our chairs because we were all wearing our Bournemouth shirts, expecting Arsenal to do them, and we were going to wind them up. But obviously that wasn't the case, was it? So
no,
it's been a funny old season, especially like look at us at Arsenal, gave them a game. Everyone can, on their day, give everybody a good game in this league this season.
It's a relegation bout like none other.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I agree with the stats as things has unfolded over the last few games. 37 points should be enough, but I'm still going to be, once it's mathematical and we're safe, then we're safe for me.
Yeah,
definitely. I don't know if I can agree with that, to be honest, because, I mean, obviously you've got Southampton coming up, you've got Leeds coming up, and I think the last game of the season will be against Everton, right? And of course, these three teams are also pretty much, I wouldn't necessarily say in deep in that battle, but, Everton, all of these teams right now, except for Southampton, Leeds and Everton, of course, sort of flitting around that relegation margin, if you will. These are actually the type of games that you would like to win. And if you are on 33 right now, I would actually, I wouldn't want to aim for the 37. I think the 40 point barrier should be something for which to aim, because you just never know if other teams are going to aim for a little bit of a higher barrier. And if you set your aim a little bit low, I really don't want you to run the risk of not getting that. I hope you aim higher. I really do.
I'm still sticking with 42 points.
Yes,
42
that's good.
Season.
Yeah, I think as well, Everton will be in that mix right at the very death.
I think it'll go down to the last day, and you'll have the likes of Everton, Leeds, and Forest all still in it.
Just hopefully not us.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think we will be. But obviously, until we get the right amount of points, obviously we are still in it. But I think if you look at it, Forest, I don't think have been playing overly great recently, and they've got quite a hard run in.
Yeah.
I think Leicester, 4 points from the last two games, showing a bit of character, but they're still going to be in the mix. So I think it'd be Everton, Forest, Leeds, and Leicester. I think was something to play with on the last day, and I think probably by then Saints will be, well, unless they have some sort of miracle and they're still involved. I think they'll already be gone by then. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, and let's just hope that we're on the other side of the fence and we can watch and enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't want to be in it. We don't want to be in it, and definitely that is the worst case scenario. Is going to Goodison on that day, with something to play for, and especially if Everton got something to play for as well. What a toxic atmosphere that is going to be. But I'll tell you what. Let's have a look at how we've done against our opponents on Thursday. Previous games against the Saints. So. The games of the 1950s to 1960s. There's a couple of wins on there, but
Yeah, a couple of wins.
we haven't really had a great record against them, have we, to be honest?
No, but then Saints, apart from this spell when they were in Division 3
Yeah.
with us, Saints have always been in the superior leagues for the majority of both the club's histories. So,
Mhm.
it hasn't been a regular fixture. But yeah, I mean, within sort of 7 years of football, managed to get 5 wins there.
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
but and as you can notice, we were still called Bournemouth and Boscombe Athletic at that point.
Yep.
But yeah, it's never really been a regular fixture up until sort of fairly recently.
They've always been above us, haven't they? Really?
Yeah, normally. I mean, like the 80s, for example, we had just the League Cup fixture, the two-legged
Hmm.
fixture, which, as you can see, we won.
If I'm right in thinking, Southampton didn't used to. Well, they weren't the greatest of League Cup teams around about that era, were they?
I don't think so. No, no.
Mm.
That is
From.
actually footage from the Dean Court game.
Mhm.
Footage, sorry, a picture. Um, and you can see, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is a young Rod Wallace, is it, or is it the other?
Rodney Wallace, yes. No,
Yes.
no, no, not Rodney.
His
I think
brother.
that's Danny Wallace.
That's
Danny
it,
Wallace.
Danny Wallace.
Yeah, you can tell from the facial features. Obviously, he went on to play for Manchester United, while I think Ray and Rodney, the twins, went on to play for Leeds, I think. And Wallace actually was a really fine player, but around about the period, of course, when Ferguson's team started to win a few more games, I think he had become frozen out of the picture. And obviously, due to health problems, he had to retire early. But I remember watching him. Absolute quality.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And then there was a bit of a gap, wasn't there, to the League One days. So of course
Yes.
Southampton dropped into League One. There's also a League Cup game there as well.
Yeah, I do remember the League Cup game quite well, to be fair.
Mhm.
It was at both, all three of those fixtures. There's a time when Saints had a certain young Oxdale Chamberlain who's pictured there. And also they had the likes of Ricky Lambert. They had quite a good squad.
They
Saints
did, didn't they?
squad. Yeah, they had a very good squad. I got a funny feeling they might have won the Johnston Paint Trophy that year
I
as
think
well.
I think you might be right. Just having a quick look. Yes, they did. Yeah, they did. Um, and then they went straight through. No, sorry, it was the year before. No, hang on. Was it the year before? 2009-10. I'm trying to think. I think it might have been that year.
Yeah, so
There we are. Anyway, but yeah, to be honest, I think that was the year they were promoted, weren't they?
yes,
They were promoted,
yeah, yeah.
and then they shot through the championship as well, and ended up in the Premier League. That's why there was such an incredible rise.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that was actually, I think that was their centenary year as well.
Mm.
or 125th anniversary year, because that's why
Yeah.
they got that was actually a special shirt that Umbro produced for the milestone. For
Yes.
them. But yeah, not a very memorable period for us against the Saints. Obviously, it was around the time that Eddie left and Bradders took over, and we were pushing playoffs,
Yeah.
weren't we? And that was when we had the famous playoff games against Huddersfield around that period. So
Of
yeah,
course.
not the most fondest time to remember.
But these were more fonder times, although we've got a terrible record up there. Of course, we won our home game, the first home game against them in the Premier League,
Yeah,
but we had to wait for an away game at St Mary's, that 3-1 win that I was speaking about earlier on, and you were speaking about, which was a fantastic result.
yeah.
Actually, fantastic
I mean,
result.
if you look at it, history does favour the Saints, don't they?
It does, yeah.
When you look at it, so this is why tomorrow will be a really, really difficult game. I mean, if we got a draw tomorrow, I mean that's not a bad result.
Mm. Apart from the
Yeah,
two wins, what would you say is the most memorable? That 3-3. I
yeah,
seem
that
to
was
have
a
a
good
bit of
game.
memory.
That was a good game.
Yeah,
I've got a funny feeling Dan Gosling scored in that one,
yeah. If I'm, yeah, I think you're right.
and I
The
think
one earlier in the season was boring.
Callum might have scored as well. I can remember it. I can be pictured. Also, the other one was that stands out was the 0-0 in 2017 at St Mary's.
Yes.
If I remember rightly, that was the one when Arter blasted the penalty over.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
I can remember being sat there thinking, why on earth is he taking the penalty? Um, but yeah, I just got this vague memory of maybe the penalty spot being scuffed by a Saints player. Am I right with that recollection?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. From what I remember, there was a little bit of foul play, wasn't there? A little bit of foul play, if I'm
Some
right in
sort of
thinking.
dispute, wasn't there? But
Yeah.
yeah, but in terms of if you look at history, obviously history does favour Saints on this one.
Yeah. It does, but plenty of time to change that. And
And like I
start
say,
tomorrow.
on our day we can beat anybody. So as long as
Mhm.
we get out there and we 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 hit them from the off, there's no reason why we won't give them a good game. So
And if I'm right in thinking as well, it'll be the first time we're in a higher division than Southampton.
yes, yeah, I think you'll
So
be
if
there. Yeah,
if that does happen, of course we're not safe yet. Not going to count the chickens. But should we have a look at a couple of players that played for both sides?
yeah. Let's have a look.
So they were once a Saint, but also was a Cherry. And Kevin Bond, of course, former manager and player for both.
Do you know what I love about that picture of him there in that Saints kit?
Hmm.
Is it me, or is he trying to be David Hasselhoff?
He does look a bit like the Hoff, doesn't
I'm,
he? There,
I'm expecting like a black car to pull up behind him. You know what I mean?
Kit.
Yeah, I mean, for that to work, I'm not too sure that either Saints or Bournemouth had an all black kit that time. So you can't have the black car without the black uniform, can you?
No, that is
Exactly.
true. That is true.
And wasn't Knight Rider filmed in Miami?
I think it was set in Miami. Yeah.
Set in Miami, yeah. Southampton's not like Miami, though, is it?
No.
Completely chalk and cheese. No, we're gonna.
But actually,
So-
in the cup game that we saw in the late '80s, back on the when we were looking back at the games,
Yeah,
um, I think Bondi played against us in that one.
Yeah.
In those 2 games. Yeah, as well as maybe the next person.
Jimmy Case.
Ooh, Liverpool legend.
Liverpool legend. Played for both.
There we are.
Yeah, Jimmy Case. Actually went on to play for Bashley and manage Bashley for quite a long time.
Did he?
I'm pretty certain. Yeah, if you check your facts and figures, I'm pretty certain
Check the Encyclopedia of Knowledge.
he went to Bashley, and I think he was player manager there for quite a period of time.
We're just going to verify it. 1997. There was an article by the Independent. He quit by the year 2000. I'm just going to have a look. Yeah, 97 to 99. He was the manager at Bashley. So there we go. Should we have a look at the next one?
Yeah,
And there is Krista Warren. He's going to come up in a couple of our shows soon, isn't he?
yeah, he will be part of our Wembley specials.
And let's have a look at the next player, Neil Moss.
Yeah, was Saints
Hall
back.
of Famer Neil Moss, right?
There was he was back up to the likes of Paul Jones back in sort of mid-90s. Can't remember how much we sold him for now, but he was only very young when we sold him.
Yeah.
Might have been about 250,000, something like that.
God, it's pocket change, isn't it?
Well, it is
Compared
now.
to the
Some
money.
players make that a week.
Exactly. Yeah. Adam Lallana. Adam Lallana, of course, at Brighton and Hove Albion. He once was a Cherry, believe it or not, but he had a very, very, very successful spell at Saints, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a successful spell there, and he also had a very successful spell at Liverpool, didn't he? He started at Little Down Juniors. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yes,
Great.
I was actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and he become part of Bournemouth School of Excellence, and he got poached by Saints. I believe they paid a small sum of money for him when he was really young in the Centre of Excellence. And as part of his development, later on, they loaned him back to the club.
Hmm.
Had a small loan spell here. I had a little funny feeling that I thought he might have come back here to sort of end his playing days, but obviously he's chosen Brighton, and what a great project to get involved in for a player that's coming sort of to the end of his playing days. Because I do believe that when Potter was left and went to Chelsea, that he was under consideration to become interim manager.
Yes.
So, which meant he would have been in the dugout for the game against us, but obviously the game was postponed. But yeah, I'm sure he will go into coaching at some capacity. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Jack Cork. Um, again, he had a very good spell at Saints, didn't he? In their early days back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But was also a Cherry.
Yeah. How it is one for you both. Who's his footballing father?
Oh,
I'll give you a clue. He won the FA Cup as part of the Crazy Gang.
You mean
can't
the 98 Wimbledon team?
The ones when they
88 Wimbledon
when
team.
the Culture Club beat the what was the famous quote by Watson? Oh, he had a great quote.
Oh,
The Crazy Gang beat the Culture Club, or something like that.
because of course you had the likes of Vinnie Jones and Fashanu and all that, and
Was
Alan Cork was,
Alan
wasn't it?
Cork.
Yeah,
Alan Cork.
yeah. They were a team, weren't they? Yeah, actually, there's a great documentary, a BBC documentary, which about the Crazy Gang. Which I tell you what, anybody who is watching this, search it out and find it. I don't think it was on BBC BT for very long, but it is floating out there in YouTube land somewhere. But yes, I didn't realise how much of a nutter fashion he was.
Yeah, he was a player that, as a defender, I don't think you wanted to play against.
Yeah.
He was a good player. Good
It
player.
was also the stories, though. The initiation stories. You
Oh
didn't
yeah,
mess with Fash, did you?
no,
I
no.
remember him from the time of the Gladiators, really. I was a little bit too young to watch the 1988 FA Cup final, but I remember him at the time of the Gladiators and a Wooga and, what he used to come out with. But what a legend. Used to watch it for Jet, really. And
Yeah,
Lightning.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There we go. And, of course, this man, absolute legend at Bournemouth. Would you say? I think he was only young when he started out at Southampton, wasn't he? But to be honest, he made his name this side of the M27 rather than the other.
Um, yeah, I think it's really at Norwich where he really established himself, wasn't it, as a player?
Yeah,
But yeah, he had a small loan spell with us, similar time to Lallana around that kind of period. And then went back to Saints, got into the first team, and eventually moved on to Norwich.
and model professional Andrew Sermon is and a really really nice bloke.
And also back at the club, isn't he?
He certainly is. Yeah,
The other thing about him, he was born in South Africa, could
That's
have
good.
played for Bafana, the national team, but
Yeah,
couldn't accept a call up because obviously, the traveling and family commitments. He said it was an honor to have been called up, and he never ruled it out. But his priority was always to earn a club contract, and but he had a young family, and international football is a big commitment. What
yeah,
might have been.
yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely. Here's a current man, Jack Stevens. I think he's
Yes.
been brilliant this season. I think he's been brilliant, albeit against West Ham was a bit of a blip, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, he has put in some good performances. Like I say, against Wolves, he was absolutely fantastic. But unfortunately, not available for selection against obviously his home club.
Mm.
Interesting point that the um, Dan, was it Dan, his name?
Yeah, it was Dan. Yes.
Made an interesting point that if Saints do go down, they will have to make a decision on this guy. And to be honest, if they do go down, I'd have him back all day. But is he out of
Yeah,
contract with them, or is he still under contract with them?
I think he is coming to the end of the contract at Southampton, which is why, um, as he was saying, they absolutely love him, but they need to make a decision. They thought they had better options. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but
I mean, if they go down, I mean, I think he'd be an asset to them. But then again, if he is out of contract and he gets offered a contract by ourselves, then obviously, and we hopefully, we still say hopefully, are in the Premier League, then obviously, from a career perspective, it would probably be better off to sign for us. But it would be
definitely.
interesting to see where his future lies.
Completely agree. Completely agree. And I'd have him. Maybe he wouldn't start. Maybe there would be, Gary O'Neill or whoever comes in would have other plans. But, he would definitely be a good man to have around the place. Paul Telfer.
He's been
Oh,
up a
Christ,
few times, hasn't he?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, he has. Blast from the
Blast
past
from the
there.
past.
blast from the past. Hmm. The game actually that does stand out from Paul Telfer was when he played for Celtic,
Yeah.
uh, and I think they played Barcelona, and he looked decent that night.
Mm.
He looked really good, but not too many fond memories in a cherry shirt. To be fair,
I think
I
he did
remember
all right
hit.
at Saints, didn't he? He
Yeah,
did
I
all
was
right at
about
Saints.
He did, and I was actually about to say that I remember him from the 2003 FA Cup final
Ah,
against Arsenal, which was, of course, David Seaman's final game with us. Southampton gave us a scare,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
we
no,
just
and,
managed to, we held out against them in the end.
yeah. Now I do remember that was a good cup final at the Millennium Stadium, if I remember rightly.
Exactly, it was at the Millennium Stadium, and it was one of the last few to be held there. And that Southampton team, of course, with the likes of Chris, they had Chris Lundekvam and Jason Marsden, among others. Anthony Amy started in goal, but then he went off injured, and then Paul Jones came back in. So I don't know if O'Neill Moss was in the squad at the time, and sadly, I think he missed out on earning a medal
Yeah.
as a result. But
What year was it, Manny? Because he might have been on loan at Bournemouth.
2003.
Yeah.
The end of the 2003 season.
Yeah, he was on loan at Bournemouth.
You missed out on something small because something bigger awaits.
And then he won the playoff final that May with Bournemouth. So he played at the Millennium Stadium, just not in the FA Cup final.
But most importantly, he won something, and that's important.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Well, of course, this man's father was on recently. He's a good friend of the show. But
Chris, if you're watching, he's plugged in.
Yep, he's plugged again. He's again. Of course, Jamie. A league of their own star as well now. Great pundit.
Great pundit.
So
Yeah, great pundit. I love him on Sky.
he's always fair, isn't he? That's the thing with Jamie.
Yeah, and he does speak. He does speak a lot of sense. But yeah, no, I like him as a pundit. I really do. Not just because of the Bournemouth connection or the Redknapp connection. It's just, he's a good pundit.
Most well known for his time at Liverpool, I would say.
Yeah.
That was probably the
Yeah,
key.
also Spurs. He was quite known for being at Spurs.
Yes.
But yeah, Southampton is where he finished. Another great player that was just ravaged by injury, unfortunately.
And let's have a look at the next one. Artur Boruc. What a goalkeeper.
Yes.
Underestimated, personally. I love this man. I think, he's completely underestimated by our fans.
Big pole in our goal. Big pole. Yeah.
Liverpool fans used to sing that about Jerzy Dudek, mind you.
But this one, I tell you what, Artur Boruc, brilliant goalkeeper.
Yeah, where we signed him on loan, where we won the championship that year, completely changed. Completely changed the team. I think we were leaking quite a few goals at the time, even though we were winning games. And in a deep position, he come in and it, completely changed.
Yeah. And outstanding goalkeeper.
Yep. Also a World Cupper with Poland, and appeared at a few major tournaments as well, European Championships.
Yeah.
One of his country's greatest.
Yeah,
definitely.
He's isn't he one of their leading appearance makers at international level?
He is, yes.
I believe he's their most capped goalkeeper with 65 appearances, but Wojciech Szczesny is poised to surpass him.
Oh, okay.
Let's have a look at the next player. Ryan Bertrand. Very well known at Saints. Didn't play that much for us, did he?
I think Bond signed him on loan twice.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain he signed him a couple of times, or we tried to sign him twice. Yeah. Decent little player. He come from Chelsea at the time.
Yes.
That's actually where he started out. But yeah, is he at Leicester now, or am I dreaming that?
He is at Leicester, but I think he's injured.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's also not forget Champions League winner 2012. A very left field pick to start that match, but he started and he won.
Yeah, I remember that under Roberto Di Matteo. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing
And
when just looking at a few pictures just brings your memories back.
I completely forgot. Completely forgot he was
No, I
involved
do
in that
till
match.
man.
But
I know I can
yeah.
remember seeing him starting, thinking, "Wow, what a moment for him!"
Yes. Let's flick to the next one. Dan Seaborn.
Dan Seaborn, yeah, come in. Just trying to think. I think did Eddie must have signed him on loan just to bolster our defence a little bit. That was when we were promoted from League One, 2013. But I think after he played for us, he played for sides like Yeovil. I think he dropped down the footballing pyramid. But yeah, another link between the two clubs.
And we've had a lot of players, actually. Leon Best.
Yeah,
Crikey, Leon Best. I remember Leon.
yeah. Bit of a journeyman.
Yes.
But yeah, don't remember too much really. No, he scored a few goals for us, but nothing too prolific, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, played for Newcastle. You know, he was a bit of a journeyman from what I can remember.
Simon Gillett.
Yeah, another one that seemed to aspire to a lot, but I think
Hmm.
his career sort of took a bit of a dive. I think he may have ended up in the non-league as well. Not 100% certain on that, but
Hmm.
pretty certainly dropped down the divisions.
And
No,
Alex Pearce.
he actually ended his career with Peterborough United in League One and didn't really
Did he?
play much afterwards.
Ah, right. Okay.
So I think it was a 1 month loan deal at Peterborough, and then he was released by Yeovil, and there isn't really any much. Yeah, so he never finished in the non-leagues. You can just take a look at his career. He was always in the EFL.
Right.
Um, never played in the Premiership, but spent a lot of time in the Championship and League One and League Two. So,
Played decent level. Yeah.
yep, quite
Okay.
decent.
Yeah, Alex Pearce here. He centre back. Went on to play for the likes of Reading and Millwall. I think he was playing with Millwall last season, to be fair.
I think he's at AFC Wimbledon now. I
Really?
might be wrong in thinking that, but I think he moved to AFC Wimbledon. But I think he's had a terrible injury, which I think is going to end his career.
Oh,
But I
really?
might be, yeah, I think I might be wrong on that. But I will. Yes, AFC Wimbledon. He's played 20 games for them. It doesn't give, unfortunately, about any injuries or anything like that. But I'm sure I heard, that he's had quite a bad injury recently.
Oh, right. Okay. That's just,
So
but yeah.
yeah, he was at Millwall though for a long, long period of time. I
Yeah, I
think.
do remember him from being at Millwall.
Yeah, Kenwyn Jones, what a legend! Brought in, of
Ah,
course,
yes.
towards the end of our promotion campaign.
Yeah. And I remember I
Was it
didn't
Ipswich he
I
scored that
yeah,
fantastic goal against?
I didn't go to Ipswich. But I remember watching it and Jones coming on and um was it a header? I think it was a header he scored,
Yeah,
which was a vital goal when you look at actually the promotion. But I do remember we were playing Reading on a Tuesday night, a
yeah,
really cagey game, and I think we were 1-0 up, and I think we won
yes,
the game 1-0,
yeah,
and it's sort of I think it was like the 82nd minute, sometime around then, getting towards the end of the game, and you see Jones on the touchline there, being briefed to come on, and you're thinking, oh, he's bringing on another striker. He's a bit, this game's so cagey. Come on, stuck in between Elflick and Cook, and I remember there was a real urge from Reading at this point, and they were chucking ball in and ball in and ball into our box. And he got onto a lot of the balls, heading them clear. So he weren't a bad defender as well as.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a short spell at our club, fondly remembered.
And let's have a look at the next one. David McGoldrick. He's a very, very good player. He, of course, is now at Derby County, isn't he?
Yes, yeah, currently at Derby County. Spent a long time at Sheffield United, didn't he?
Yeah. Ipswich as well? Was it Ipswich?
It might have been Ipswich,
Yeah, I think he was at Ipswich as well.
Yeah, so it's another connection there. Similar to West Ham, like last week, when we did who played for both, and there's so many players you can pick from. There's still more players I could have put in this, but this is our final player. Yeah, a lot of connections between the two clubs.
Well, here's a question. Where did David McGoldrick start his career? And where Southampton got him from?
Give us a clue.
They're now non-league. They never used to be. They used to be in the Football League a long, long time. But they might not be non-league for much longer.
Notts County?
Yes.
Really?
Notts County. Yep. Notts County. Started his career at.
Never knew that. You learn something new every day. That's
there
why
we go.
Because you two are such knowledgeable men that if I don't know it, I know you two will. But
and of course, if we don't, we always have Wikipedia.
Exactly. Should we have a look at our number 9s? I think some might actually repeat from what we've just spoken about.
Quite possibly, yeah. Yeah. So the AFC Bournemouth number 9s, obviously, just to remind everybody, this is from when shirt numbers were allocated to individual players from the 1999-2000 season.
Yeah. Starting off, a man that was in that 1998 Auto Windscreens final, certain Mark Stein.
Mark Stein, yeah.
What a legend.
Yeah, cracking player, Mark Stein. I loved the Fletcher and Stein combo. Loved it.
Yeah. And we'll be seeing a little bit more of Mark Stein very, very shortly, won't we?
We certainly will be.
Next player.
Chucky Yereben.
Yes.
Signed by Mel Machin as a replacement for Stein. Stein moved on. I think his contract was up, and I think he wanted to finish his career off, or at least have a spell back at Luton Town, where he started. So Chucky was signed as his replacement. First pretty season with us, looked decent. We looked like we had a good replacement. First game of the 2000-2001 season. And our friend Mr. Rawlins will remember this as well.
Yes.
We went up to Bristol City Memorial Ground. Not Bristol City, but Bristol Rovers Memorial Ground. And we witnessed Chucky score his one and only goal for the first team. Because unfortunately for Chucky, it didn't quite work out. We were struggling for goals. Mel got hold of Harry and obviously got Jermaine in for O'Driscoll.
Yes.
Because they needed some firepower, which unfortunately Chucky wasn't providing. Scored a lot of goals for our reserves. Had a look at Hereford Town. Made his debut, scored 2 goals for them. Eventually went and played for Weymouth for quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a fan's favourite in his early days.
And the next player.
Yeah, another man that kept kept Chucky out the side. Warren Feeney.
Yes.
Signed during the Jermaine Defoe season, as it's fondly known. Originally took squad number 5, but as soon as the 9 shirt became vacant, he became our number 9. Was, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, Harry Kewell's best man at his wedding, and is Stephen Purchase's brother-in-law.
There we are.
A little bit of a go there. One that we've just previously seen, Leon
Yes.
Beth. There, so he took on the number 9 the same season, I believe, as the next person, which is again Mr. McGoldrick.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm pretty certain one loan finished and another loan started. So
Only played 12 games for Bournemouth, but scored 6 goals.
yeah, quite prolific in his small
Yeah.
time. Yeah, quite prolific. Don't know if he got injured and had to go back, or whether he was recalled. I can't remember.
You would think that 1 goal every other game, 1 goal in 2 games, is quite prolific for David McGoldrick. But believe it or not, he was more prolific at Coventry, where he got 16 goals in 22 games.
Oh, someone
So,
must have snapped him up, surely.
so yes, he's a very, very good player.
Yeah. Sam Vokes
Yes.
burst onto the scene. I remember him making his debut on a Tuesday night against Nottingham Forest. If Bondi had any strikers at all, and it was him and Brett Pittman up front. And we won the game 2-0, I think, if I remember rightly. Went on to become our number 9 the following season. Was sold by the administrator to Wolves in 2008 when the club was still in administration. I think they made about 500,000 on him. I might be wrong. But yeah, good player. Has had a decent career as well. He's currently at Wickham, I believe.
Yep, he certainly is.
Wales
20
hero, of course, scored that goal in the quarterfinals of Euro 2016, which took them into the semi-finals.
Of course he did. See, this is why Manny's here, you see. We forget something, Manny's straight in there.
Yeah.
And one thing which I also forgot was that Ken Wynne-Jones was also a World Cupper, part of that same Trinidad team alongside Ian Cox.
Yeah. Of course he was.
But I need to ask you, I mean, like, in the history of Bournemouth, several Welshmen have, donned the Cherries shirt. It's almost as if Bournemouth is like, a second home for these Welshmen. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a Welsh diaspora where you lot are.
Well, I tell you what, Sam Vokes, fantastic player. Like you say, at Wickham, done well there. Was Wolves. Previously at Stoke as well.
Yeah.
Spent a long time at Burnley.
Isn't it? Yeah, Burnley as well. Isn't it nice though to see a striker there and a good old pair of World Cup Adidas boots?
Yes.
Proper football boots. Them and Copperman Diels. Proper football boots.
It's not like the football boots nowadays where they're all different colours and, strange looking.
Yeah. I mean, the boots he's got on now, they call linesman's boots now, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, well, who can forget this man?
Where do you start?
I don't think. Oh, well.
Well, I used to like watching Brett, but at the same time, it used to frustrate me because I used to think, God, what's he doing? But then just out of nowhere, he's one of those strikers that just knows where the goal is. Doesn't need to do anything else in the game. He just knows where the goal is and knows how to finish. And like we've said before on this programme, just a shame he never got a game for us in the Premier League, as then he would have represented Bournemouth in every division from League 2 to Premier League. But that's history.
He should have been given one. Should have been given one game, at the very least.
Any ideas, chaps? Got to say, love that kit there. That cream-coloured away shirt. Beautiful shirt.
I tell you what, that's one of my favourites. But that is Wes Thomas.
Where's Thomas? Yeah.
Yeah, the Thomas on the back of the
Oh, the
jersey in
shirt
the
gives
second
it away.
photo gives it away.
Yeah. I didn't see that, to be honest, but I saw the number 9. The number 9 is quite clear, but my eyesight, I'd be damned
Yeah.
if I could see that.
He was signed. I got a funny feeling he might have been signed by Paul Groves.
I think
No,
you're right.
Bradders, I think.
Mm.
Bradders signed him. And then when Eddie come back, he kind of fell out of favour. And then he was actually had the number 9 shirt taken off him. Was issued number 15, and the number 9 shirt went to Lewis Graban. Who's next?
There he is. Of course, great player. Great
Yeah,
player.
yeah. One of those situations where they say you should never go back to a club because his second spell with us wasn't overly great. Didn't get a lot of game time. I think we sold him for like 4.5 million, didn't we? And buy him back for 7 or something crazy like that. Was it
Yep.
7? Something like that. But his first spell with us, fantastic. Signed him from Rotherham. Was kind of a wide player, I think, at first, and then kind of got used as a out and out striker. And yeah, scored a lot of goals.
Started at Crystal Palace. And also, he's recently hung up his boots.
Oh, I
Um,
think
yeah, it looks well as it appears. I don't think he's officially retired, but the last time he played 5 games for Al Alhi in Saudi Arabia.
Al Ahly. Wow.
Yeah, is that how you say it? Al
Yeah,
Alhi.
because Ahly. Yeah, because it's like you've got to pronounce the H and then just goes move to the L.
Uh, you learn something new every day here.
definitely.
Well, I mean, the Saudi league's getting a lot more exposure now, thanks to a certain fella who's playing for Al Nasser. So eventually,
Yes.
invariably, you've got to learn some of these names.
Yeah. Oh, we knew he was going to come up. My favourite game that Takelo Ranti was involved in was that 8-0 win up at Birmingham,
Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt.
yeah. Also, I remember the Burnley away game when he
Yeah,
scored a beauty, I think, if I remember rightly. But yeah, I think we signed him for £3.5 million from Malmo. Was it Malmo?
it sounds about right. He was
And
never a great player, was he, Takelo Ranti?
he
But
was on the international stage. I think he was. I think he was quite. I think he was quite good internationally, and I'm pretty certain he had a good goal scoring record for the club previous to us. But I think I don't know whether he really suited our kind of football. I'm not too sure, but
you was right about Malmo as well, though. Only 32 years old, hasn't had a team since 2020, and I think he's still who can play. But the last team he played for was Mamelodi Sundowns, which
ah,
is a South African team, I
yeah,
believe.
Yep,
yeah,
South Africa. Yeah, Mamelodi Sundowns. Mamelodi.
ah,
I think his most prolific spell, it looks like Orlando Pirates, where he really did make his name in the South African League. Was also played in the Swedish second division as well. So there we go. And the next player, well, one that we all recognise,
we like
Lise
to
Mousset.
muse. We like to muse.
Yeah. um, how do I explain Lise Mousset? Lot of potential, didn't fulfil it.
I would agree with you there, Craig. I think, yeah. Definitely. He did have a few bright spells for us, didn't he? I mean, I remember a few times he come off the bench and grabbed a goal here and there, but just unfortunately, it, with the likes of Josh King and Callum Wilson ahead of you, it was always going to be difficult to dislodge one of them unless one of them was injured, which was then a problem that Dom would later have. Obviously,
Yeah.
playing, second to those two, but those two were such good partnership that the likes of Muse and Dom and Rante before him,
Mm.
you know, um, found it hard to get into the side.
I think he was very, very good friends with a certain Jordan Ibe,
Yeah,
and we shall move on from that fact because we're up to the current day,
yeah.
and Mr. Solanke,
Mr. Dom. Yeah,
and a good player. Long maybe at this football club. Um, Not what you would sometimes call an out and out goal scorer, but very
fantastic
unselfish.
footballer.
Yeah, very unselfish, not greedy, will pass back, will make things happen. Um, he is a perfect player to have up front, and with the players around him in midfield that we've got, I think, he's the perfect player, really, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He definitely is.
Without any doubt.
Brings
Lanky Solanke, if you will. He is
Yep.
6'4", isn't he?
I think he is something like that. I think he towers over me a little bit, but there we go. I think with regards to the Hall of Fame, we will do a short little video at some point. So do keep your eyes peeled for that.
busy old week. Busy old
It
week.
is, yes, very, very busy old week. We've got the results. Don't worry about that. But we will announce in a very, very short video who's up next. And we'll also go through some of the people that are already in the Hall of Fame as well for you. So, hopefully, fingers crossed, by the time that we next do cherry picking, we'll be sat on 39 points. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Beautiful.
It would be. So, from myself, Matt, and Manny, up the Cherries. Hopefully, 6 points in these next two games. They are both 6 pointers, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us.